Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रवृत्तिकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रवृत्तिकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की, श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की, वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, गंगा मई की, यमुना मई की, तुलसी देवी की, भक्ति देवी की, समवेत भक्तवृंद की. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Can I get the book? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, reading from 3rd Canto, Chapter 12, text number 48, I think. Yeah, 48 and 49. So, okay. 48. You got it? Okay. śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmā avabhāti avabhāti vitataḥ nānā-śakti-upabṛṁhitaḥ śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakty-upabṛṁhitaḥ śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakty-upabṛṁhitaḥ śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakti-upabṛṁhitaḥ. Please repeat.
śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakti-upabṛṁhitaḥ.
Computer, it's in the office up here.
śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakti-upabṛṁhitaḥ.
śabda-brahmātmanas tasya
vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakti-upabṛṁhitaḥ.
Mataji?
śabda-brahmātmanas tasya vyaktāvyaktātmanaḥ paraḥ brahmāvabhāti vitato nānā-śakti-upabṛṁhitaḥ.
Okay. Śabda-brahma, transcendental sound.
Transcendental sound.
Atmanaḥ, of the Supreme Lord. Tasya, his. Vyakta, manifested. Avyakta-ātmanaḥ, of the unmanifested. Paraḥ, transcendental. Brahmā, the absolute. Avabhāti, completely manifested. Vitataḥ, distributing. Nānā, multifarious. Śakti, energies. Upabṛṁhitaḥ, invested with. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the Absolute Truth and is invested with multifarious energies. Purport. The post of Brahma is the highest responsible post within the universe and it is offered to the most perfect personalities of the universe. Sometimes the personality of Godhead has to become Brahma when there is no suitable living being to occupy the post. In the material world, Brahma is the complete representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transcendental sound pranava comes from him. He is therefore invested with multifarious energies from which all the demigods like Indra, Chandra and Varuna are manifested. His transcendental value is not to be minimized, even though he exhibited a tendency to enjoy his own daughter. There is a purpose for the exhibition of such a tendency by Brahmā, and he is not to be condemned like an ordinary living entity. Tato param text 49. Tato param upadaya sasargaya manodadhe. Okay, translation. Therefore, Brahmā accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in the matter of further creation. Purport. In his former body, which was transcendental, affection for sex life was forbidden, and Brahmā therefore had to accept another body to allow himself to connect it with sex. He thus engaged himself in the matter of creation. His former body transformed into fog, and as previously described. Om Jnanati Mirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Datati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagar Chatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadhuitam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Rita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Shahe Krishna Karunajani Dinabandhu Jagatati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpadravesha Kripasindhu Vyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo 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 Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtavadaya Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nityanamane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtavadaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirviseshinyavadi Paschatya Deshtani Jai Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnanananda Mayam Devara Nirvas Pradikakriti Madaram Garu Sarva Vidyanam Hai Guru Upasmai Guru Vaishnava Bhagavanti Nirasmarana Hai Vigna Vinashana Naya Shahe Nichavanchita Puran. So, continuing here with this transcendental pastime that is going on with Lord Brahmā, exhibiting his activities, as Srila Prabhupada is saying here, that there's a purpose of such exhibition. It is not that Lord Brahmā is exactly to be condemned. So it's interesting that throughout this whole section that this is being talked about, as also Vishnu Chitta related, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, put such instances into the Vedic literatures for everyone to read for time immemorial, and, that it has become manifest, this Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is narrating that particular pastime of Lord Brahmā. So, Lord Brahmā's position, obviously, as Srila Prabhupada indicates, and we've talked about quite a lot throughout this whole section, is that his position is very elevated. I mean, Srila Prabhupada specifically says here that it is only offered to the most perfect personalities. And this is not perfect in the sense of just material standards of being intellectual, as Lord Brahmā is fully made of intelligence, but specifically having the qualification of spiritual intelligence, by which one understands Krishna to be the ultimate goal of everything, Bhakti Vedanta to be the end of all knowledge. And we see that in Lord Brahmā's exhibition within the prayers that Lord Brahmā performs throughout many chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam in Brahma Samhita. He is completely in knowledge and fully cognizant of the goal of life, not just the goal of life, but the ultimate goal of life to the highest extent of serving Krishna in Vrindavan. So we see the caliber of the personality that we are speaking about here, that he is of the topmost, perfect. He's the most perfect personality that such high responsibility posed within the universe, and it is offered to only the most perfect personality of the universe. So, perfect personalities, they represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's like a king in a kingdom. He represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's a representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does that mean? That his achar, prachar, everything that he does and vichar is expected to be of a high character. It's not that some Tom, Dick, and Harry can just become the king in Vedic civilization, or actually any civilization that was monarchy. That the king was of ideal character. Yadyad achariti sreshta. that everybody followed that personality, the leader. So he was expected that you don't, perform illicit activities in any civilization, even in America 20, 30 years ago. It was expected that the president was of ideal character. And in other countries, in other places. So we see that we also expect Brahmā, being of the topmost personality, elected for that post by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be also perfect. So when we see such imperfections come about, we can understand, just like the first verse of the Ishopanishad, it says that it's complete, coming from the complete, but it's incomplete, but it completes the purpose of it. So the material world is here, but it's complete in the sense that it's incomplete, it fulfills the purpose of it, so therefore it becomes complete. So even Lord Brahma's purpose or his position is complete and he is perfect in regard, but the activities that are being carried out, which seemingly imperfect, they have a particular role to play. They have a role to play in teaching a lesson or showing the other conditioned souls the dangers of forgetting Krishna consciousness or trying to becoming attracted by Maya. So here we're seeing that, and how Lord Brahmā specifically mentioned here, that is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Avyakta-ātmanaḥ, that's in the Bhagavad Gita also. That above manifest and unmanifest is not, it's above the physical world that is manifest here. It's not material. And it's also not just some vague Brahman. It is actually a transcendental personality who's taken up that post. And what is the qualification that he has? Here specifically being mentioned that Brahmā is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifest and unmanifested. That he was vibrating this pranava is the complete representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transcendental sound pranava comes from him. So he was hearing from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he was receiving that knowledge, and directly, without any filtration, without any filter, he was giving the same sound vibration. This sound vibration, the pranava, the pure sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, without any alteration. And as we understand from Srila Prabhupada's purports in the Bhagavad Gita, that's what it means to be a representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to not adulterate any teachings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to give a clear message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what represents a pure person, what is considered a pure representative. And that person is considered to be on the platform of transcendence. And we see that from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Iha yasya hare dasya karma manasa gira nikalasu api sorry, I've wrote this. I can't read my own writing. What is that? Tastasu jivan muktan sa uchyate. That when one is engaged in 24 hours a day devotional service, thinking and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he is considered jivan mukta. He is considered on the platform of liberation. So when one is actually situated on the proper platform of devotional service, when he is 24 hours a day engaged with his mind, body, and words, he is considered to be liberated on the transcendental platform. So on the transcendental platform, and he's acting within this material world, he is a direct representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because it's not just that one has to be stamped as a guru, but anyone who represents Srila Prabhupada's or the parampara in total, he is considered non-different from representing the parampara itself or the words of Srila Prabhupada. He is just like the the spiritual master is considered on the same level as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have that. We're singing every day. How does that start? Why am I forgetting? Sakshad dharittvena samasta shastra. So that he is the manifest form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is representative, perfect representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is expected for such personalities to not just speak on that level, but to also act on that level, of transcendence. Now, not that Srila Prabhupada many times also says, just because one's on the level of transcendence doesn't mean he tries to imitate anukaran and visharan. That one actually tries to follow, not that one tries to imitate. So not that any rascal can say, okay, yes, I am speaking and thinking of Krishna all the time, so now I can go perform pastimes of the gopis. Then that is a rascal, Srila Prabhupada says. So, Lord Brahmā had such qualification, as we see here in the 11th canto, 11:17:27, we see Acharya Mam Vijaniyam Navamanyati Karichit. How does that go at the end of it? Na Buddhya Nasuyata Sarvadeva Maya Gurum 17, 27. So, is that right? 17, okay. Is that, you got it up there? Yeah, 11:17:27. Keep typing the wrong thing here. Yep. So there's a nice purport in there. I'm sorry, my computer. I'm not typing the right thing here. 11:17:27. Okay, so here we see that one should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, think of him as an ordinary man, for he is the representation of all the demigods. So not only is he the representation of demigods, he should know the Acharya as myself, non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one has to have a proper vision. Actually, if one can, Guru Maharaj in his lecture sometimes says, if you don't accept this, why are you accepting a guru? And the guru means you accept on the level of God. That's a big thing, especially in this initiation. He was just saying in Czech Republic, he was saying that. So that means that's a big thing. You become a slave. You've just accepted absolute order. That's a huge thing. So, similarly, Brahmā is in that position, actually. He's on the position, the platform of non-different to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because he's the representation of the source of transcendental sound. And he's above all these conceptions of manifest and unmanifest. So, Srila Prabhupada writes, as mentioned before, you can go to that paragraph there, as mentioned before. Yeah. Okay. As mentioned previously, a disciple should always respect the spiritual master as a manifestation of Sri Krishna. But at the same time, one should always remember that a spiritual master is never authorized to imitate the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. False spiritual masters pose themselves as identical with Sri Krishna in every respect to exploit the sentience of their disciples. But such impersonalists can only mislead their disciples for their ultimate aim to become one with the Lord. This is against the principles of devotional cult. The real Vedic philosophy is Achinda Beda Beda Tattva, which establishes everything to be simultaneously one and different with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami confirms this, that this is the real position of a bona fide spiritual master, and says that one should always think of the spiritual master in terms of intimate relationship with Mukunda. So, it's clearly defined that a pure devotee of... Okay, so here we see that position of Lord Brahmā, Acharya Mam Vijaniyam, that he is a direct representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nonetheless, when he has the position in which he falls down here, it is not excused at all. It is not that he makes some excuse to say, well, Krishna, he has so many, unmoral things and he's done so many things, so I'm just, it's my pastime. No, he immediately gives up his position. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada here says that actually his transcendental value is not to be minimized. And considering how is it that such a person can fall down from a liberated platform, how is that even possible? Well, Srimad Bhagavatam, if we look at 11:26:1, I believe, should be. So, here in this, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, having achieved this human form of life, which affords one opportunity to realize me, and being situated in my devotional service, one can achieve me, the reservoir of all pleasure and the supreme soul of all existence, residing within the heart of every living being. Because of bad association, even those who are spiritually liberated may fall down from self-realization. Within the material world, the association of women is especially dangerous, and therefore in this chapter of the avyakta is spoken to prevent such fall down. One can be saved from sex attraction by association with saintly persons who awaken one's real spiritual intelligence. Therefore, Lord Krishna will speak to Uddhava the amazing song of Pururava, also known as the avyakta. So we see that. We see that here that Lord Brahmā fell down from his position, that he was not free from that actually the jiva has independence at every moment to either choose between devotional service or maya. So we see that even persons on the liberated platform can fall down, spiritually liberated may fall down from self-realization. So if one is not careful, that one may be engaged in the occupation of serving the spiritual master 24/7 even. But if he is not careful in his regard, as Srila Prabhupada often says, that my Western disciples are not scared of Maya, if we're not cautious in our activities and introspective in what we're doing, then we have every opportunity to fall down, even from coming from a position in which we may some personalities have been considered liberated, or may be even on that platform, as we see throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, that many of these instances are actually narrated throughout the Bhagavatam. It's not that the Bhagavatam just talks about Krishna, as we've discussed many times. Actually, it emphasizes on this factor of fall down quite a lot, throughout, and especially of sex desire. We see that with Ajamil, Maharaj Agnidra, and Purvachita, Chitti, and then Maharaj Yayati. We see Rishabdev explains all of this. Shiva is bewildered. Brahaspati, the guru of the demigods, falls down with Tara, has illicit sex with Tara. Pururava and Urvasi, that is there. So much warning is there throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, from practically the beginning all the way to the 10th canto, expecting one to have realization by hearing śabda-brahman, hearing the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this form of Srimad Bhagavatam, that one can become self-realized and overcome sex desire. So when he hears the Krishna's pastimes, it's not tainted with material conception of sex, that it's above that. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, it gives great warning to the sadhaka, to the practitioner. At the same time, it encourages us a lot to go on, even amongst such situations. As Ajamil fell down in such a terrible way. We have Bharata, another case, who is not particularly sex desire, you could say. Not that he fell down with some woman, but some attraction to some deer, and fell down from the platform of becoming liberated, about to go back home, back to Godhead. But it gives us great assurance that on this path, as Krishna says, nasha and pratyavaya, no loss or diminution on this path of devotional service, that one will never lose on this path of devotional service. One is rightly situated when he performs this platform of devotional service. So, even great such personalities such as Bharata, they reconciled their position and were glorified eternally in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So then, even though they fell down, their glory was that they got up. That even if they lost their position in their devotional service, Ajamil, he lost his position completely. What is his situation? Terrible. Amar jivan sada papiratha, nahiko punya relation. You could say, it personifies that his whole life practically was spent in just performing sinful activities. But his glory is in that he chanted the holy name of Narayana and then rectified himself after that, and therefore he's glorified eternally in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bharat, the same thing. We have also Brahmā. This is a glorification of how Brahmā immediately gave up that body and resituated himself on that transcendental platform, actually. So devotees of the Lord are always glorious, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that actually the devotees, they're always glorious. They're always, that they shouldn't be degraded. They shouldn't be put down. Why? Because when they get up and they attain perfection, that is glory. That can act as an impetus for so many other jivas to go on to perform devotional service amongst difficulty. So we see that in 10:2:33. Here we go. Sorry, I wrote it all on paper, so then it's harder for me to. 10:2:33. Okay. O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is prayers by the demigods. O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees, for you still protect them. Thus they fearlessly transverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. It's amazing. If devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall down, completely in love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sometimes they fall down under circumstance. Here, Prabhupada comments. Devotees generally do not fall down, but if circumstantially they do, the Lord, because of their strong attachment to Him, give them importance in all circumstances. Thus, even if a devotee falls down, they are still strong enough to transverse the head of their enemies. We have actually seen that our Krishna consciousness movement has many opponents, such as the deprogrammers, who institute a strong legal case against the devotees. We thought that this case would take a long time to settle, but because the devotees were protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we unexpectedly won the case in one day. Thus, a case that was expected to continue for years was settled in a day because of the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has promised in the Bhagavad Gita, Kunti pratijanihi name bhakta parinshati. O son of Kunti, declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. In history, there are many instances of devotees like Chitraketu, Indradyumna, Maharaj Bharat, who circumstantially fell down but were still protected. Maharaj Bharat, for example, because of his attachment to a deer, thought of the deer at the time of death, and therefore in his next life, he became a deer. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tejate ante kalevaram. Because of protection by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, the deer remembered his relationship with the Lord and next took birth in a good Brahminical family and performed devotional service. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Bhajayate. Similarly, Chitraketu fell down and became a demon Vitrasura, but he too was protected. Thus, even if one falls down from the path of Bhakti Yoga, one is ultimately safe. If a devotee is strongly situated in devotion service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has promised to protect him. Kaunte pratijani hi name bhakta pranishyati. But even if a devotee circumstantially falls down, he is protected by Madhava. The word Madhava is significant. Ma means Ma, Mother Lakshmi, the mother of all opulence, is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if a devotee is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all opulences of the Lord are ready to help him. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Danudhara, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhutir Durvani Tirmatirmama. Wherever there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his devotee Arjuna, Partha, there is victory, opulence, extraordinary power and morality. The opulence of a devotee are not a result of karma kanda vichar. A devotee is always protected by all of the Supreme Lord's opulences, of which no one can deprive him. Tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Thus, a devotee cannot be defeated by any opponent. A devotee, therefore, should not deviate knowingly from the path of devotion. The adherent devotees are assured all protection from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada encourages us so much, and throughout the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, that he understands where we're at, and he quote after quote after quote emphasizing, go on, go on, go on. Yes, I expect you guys to fall down. You're malechas and coming from such horrible backgrounds. He's surprised that we're chanting Hare Krishna. But the glorious position of devotional service, go on, the push that the acharyas give us. And as Krishna is always willing to forgive those who are sincere and willing to step back up and always protection, the acharyas are even more willing to do that. As Srila Prabhupada writes, the devotees are more merciful than the Lord himself. Therefore we see throughout the Buddha mission, that is a very prominent aspect in the third volume of this Buddha mission, in where Srila Prabhupada is eternally grateful to all of his followers, independent of their position actually. So, in 135 here, Srila Prabhupada writes, there's a lot of things Srila Prabhupada, I want to read the whole thing, but I can't. So, he says here that Srila Prabhupada remains always grateful to those who had performed major services, even if later they disappointed him by deviating from the principles he stipulated for disciples. To Guru Das and Yamuna, Srila Prabhupada wrote, "If you can construct a nice temple in Vrindavan for me, I shall be eternally grateful." And Srila Prabhupada says that many other places. So here also, even if some insignificant person who just put some toilet paper in the bathroom, some street bum, Srila Prabhupada appreciated such devotional service. More, 138 here. Here there's a few quotes from letters from Srila Prabhupada to his disciples. "I'm so much grateful to you and the other devotees of Krishna Consciousness Society that it gives me great pride that Krishna has given me the association of such nice boys. I'm very much obliged to my disciples because they are realizing the importance of Krishna Consciousness movement, and it's very much encouraging to me. Somehow or other, Krishna has given me all good assistants like yourself to carry on this preaching movement. For this reason, there is so much success. I thank you very much for helping me in this way. My mission on behalf of my Guru Maharaj and Lord Chaitanya to spread Krishna consciousness would never have been so successful if I had not taken up enthusiastic boys and girls such as in San Francisco, especially through distribution of books. I'm very much obliged to you. I'm very much indebted to all of you who are helping me to carry out the order of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami." So, and then more, 138 here. To a sannyasi disciple who fell down. Lord Chaitanya is God. He can spread this movement all over the world in 1 second with the help of anyone if he likes. I'm not God. I'm simply a servant of God. I require so much assistance to help me spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. If someone renders even small service to help me, I am eternally indebted to them. So, and then furthermore, I'm very much indebted to them because they have helped me. These books I'm writing surely, but they're pushing on, facing great danger. They're helping me in my translated work, in typing, in composing, in printing. So we can see the position of the Acharya. He takes how much he appreciates the activities of those who act in accordance with his instructions and try to help him in any regard, whatever small it may be, however big it may be. And we see that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead here with Lord Brahmā, he's protecting him. It's mentioned here, especially the next little bit, that Brahmā, he gave up that body, which was transcendental, the transcendental body, and he accepted another body which is suitable for sex life. And it's almost indicative that he had to accept a material body. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that he accepted another body. This is the same quality of śabda-brahmān, that he's never devoid of that quality, which is amazing because it just seems that, okay, he had to give up the body, he fell down, now he's back in a material position, but absolutely not. Here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, giving up this previous body which became mist and darkness, Brahmā accepted another body which was not polluted by forbidden acts of lust. This śabda-brahmān body remains with Brahmā at all times. So Lord Brahmā, he may not particularly, because he's on the platform of transcendence, that the body that he accepted accepted another body which is not polluted by forbidden acts of lust. So then he may have been able to act in dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamusmi bhartarshya, I am sex life, that is not contrary to religious principles, so that he was doing it properly in proper order. But main point being here that even those who fell down from devotional service, whoever did whatever small amount of service to Srila Prabhupada are actually glorious devotees. And they continue to be glorious for eternity. And Srila Prabhupada, as Prabhupada himself, who are we to say otherwise, is eternally grateful for whatever the service they did, independent of what happened a little bit later in their lives perhaps. Because the need of the situation and the dire of the situation in which Srila Prabhupada came and gave the Krishna consciousness movement, the devotees came forward and helped him, and we don't know what would have happened if those devotees were not there to help Srila Prabhupada. Of course, we can understand Krishna would have provided nonetheless, but the fact that Krishna provided it through them is a significant fact. It wasn't us, we didn't get the opportunity to be around Srila Prabhupada and assist him in his directly. I mean, we're lucky enough to be able to do that now. But in those early days in which Srila Prabhupada came and needed so much help, so many of those disciples helped and later fell away. But they're glorious nonetheless. And anybody that can't appreciate that, there is something wrong in our devotional service. And we can understand that. Anybody that can't look on the side of that and appreciate that aspect of, okay, this person has done so much wrong. And that comes sometimes. Even, one performs devotional service and then he may do so many other things in his life that are wrong. But the fact that he's performed devotional service, he's glorious. So there may be so many things. And people can nitpick and, oh, he did this wrong and he did that wrong and he did this wrong and that wrong and look at this and this institution and that institution, but look at yourself. And there's a classic thing of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one finger pointing at so many people, but then the rest, the three fingers are pointing at you. So we have to be careful, as Srila Prabhupada says here, that specifically in case of Brahmā, that we take a lesson from it, that there is a purpose in such exhibition, but we should not condemn Lord Brahmā like an ordinary soul, that he is a glorious personality. He got right back and kept going. And right back situated in his transcendental position. As realized immediately, oh, I fell into Maya. Okay, let me jump straight back on. Immediately resituated on the platform. There's no loss or diminution. One begins where he left off. So there's so much more in there. What's the time here? It's 47. Okay, I have the right to stop, but I'll say a few more things. So Srila Prabhupada feels indebted to whatever service that we may do, assisting the parampara in a proper way. As we see, when you begin this whole mood and mission, it's defined what it means to be a disciple, what it means to be in the mission. And that has to be understood clearly. I read it the first time and then I'm reading it again. And when you read the second time, then really you can start to understand the mood. There's a mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, but then you understand the whole mood of the book itself also. There's like multiple layers in there. And so to me, to understand what it means to be a follower of Srila Prabhupada, what it means to be a sincere follower, one's proper attitude, one's proper following, one considers his whole life to be under that guru, his words, his activities, his decisions, all of those things are only in shape of the teachings of the Acharya and only in light of what the Acharya wants and fulfilling that mission. So as soon as one is situated on that level and is always absorbed 24 hours a day, as we are hearing, then he's also on the transcendental level. We see Srila Prabhupada's disciples did extraordinary things. It's unimaginable what they did. Why? Because of absorption, of empowerment by Srila Prabhupada himself, of empowerment by the representative of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can also put you onto the level of transcendence. That's what it means to be a guru in the line of disciplic succession, to take the transcendental vibration from the spiritual master and then to situate ourselves on that platform also. That is our duty as the representatives of the parampara, is to come up to that platform, not to say, okay, the acharyas are up there and I'm down here. No, they expect us to come up to that level. So we should be doing that. And when we're doing that, then we can also understand, we never obviously ourselves, as the acharyas teach us by their behavior and their words and everything, that they never consider themselves transcendental. Similarly, we never consider ourselves as such, especially ourselves. We know what goes on in our minds. I was telling some devotees, some of the dreams you have, and you're like, that's where I'm at. So, but it is our duty, you could say in one sense, to come up to that level because everything is provided, and it is the only reason we're performing devotional service, to come up to that level and to help others come to that level of Krishna consciousness. So we can be situated in transcendence even though sometimes we may fall down, whether it's minor fall downs, as Guru Maharaj spoke about fall downs in general when he was here. Minor fall downs, major fall downs, whatever it may be, go on. the acharyas understand, Srila Prabhupada understands, okay, yes, we have difficulty, but push on in our Krishna consciousness. We'll fall, practically in falling down every second. Forgetting Krishna every other second. You got to remind yourself once in a while, oh, okay, I have to chant Hare Krishna and I have to read and try to become Krishna conscious and be able to be absorbed in hearing about the pastimes of Krishna. You'll hear in this lecture, I think that's in Georgia, he's saying, Guru Maharaj is saying, and he's giving class on lust, saying that it shouldn't be artificial, that just artificially try to come up to that level, but it's just naturally absorbed. We don't want to step away from it. We don't want to hear anything else. We don't want to. It's very far for us. We're practically always karmic stuff, associating with, whether it's through the phone, which is mainly associating with karmis and karmic sound vibration, mundane sound vibration. You just watch one YouTube video, as he says in that, and so much impression is there in the mind, so much desires come up. Sometimes you realize there's unlimited amount of desires in your heart you didn't even know. Sometimes we go to these farms and they have these old vintage cars, and like all of a sudden I have all of this desire to own one of those. I'm like, what? I never even liked cars. I owned one car and it was really not that good of a car. It broke down and everything, but I was like, where does that come from? So you don't even know what you have in your heart. But we can go on, we can push on. That this is the topmost platform that is victorious, that we're on this path of devotional service, and that there's no doubt that we cannot achieve perfection. Just got to keep reading, keep chanting, keep going, whatever is happening. So yeah, this is the position that is going on here. Brahma's previous body was transformed and he again immediately took up the devotional service of the Lord. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada is pushing us to do that and his disciples to do that. In many cases, his disciples fell down. Immediately he gave them their positions back and allowed them to engage in proper devotional service. Okay, I'll end the class there. Is there any questions or comments? Please feel free to ask. Any questions or anything? No, not from the men. Nothing from the men. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, you're making this good point as far as Bharata Maharaj, how he fell from his position. And I remember listening to his lecture by Guru Maharaj about, it's like careful not to slip, how the deer was a manifestation of his desire. He still, although he was practically on the Brahmā-vabhāti platform of pure devotional service, he still had a desire to enjoy still.
Yeah.
And that deer was a manifestation of that small desire. And you see that even if you attain perfection, there's that verse in the last verse in the second chapter. It's like a Purnam-chala Pradeshtam, like even though you're fixed, the waves of desires still come. You know that verse? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know the Sanskrit of that verse.
It's like
the rivers, all of the rivers of the desires.
Right.
It's like rivers flow into the ocean. The ocean doesn't.
Still.
Similarly, the yogi who is
Right. So it seems that you're like Bharata Maharaj, an example, because it was described that he was practically on that platform, the Brahmā-vabhāti platform, but he still had these desires. So it seems like even when you attain liberation from the material desires per se, they still might come. But the perfect transcendentalist is one who doesn't act upon them, even though they might be there. They don't act upon it. But Bharata Maharaj, that deer was a manifestation of whatever small desires he had, and by acting upon them, he had to take another birth. So but then, like you were saying, that nothing goes in vain. But
yeah, it's
kind of scary.
Actually.
It's scary because like you can attain perfection, and a small desire might come, and you can not lose everything per se, but you might have to take another life.
Yeah, which is correct. It's like it's pretty much like that, isn't it? It's like losing everything. Yeah, it's a tough position because you notice actually that verse is there that when one performs devotional service, bhukti, mukti, all of these name, fame, adoration, all of these things come and want to serve. So the more one actually advances in devotional service, all of these things are ready to serve. So if you don't have ahituki apratihata, if you don't have unmotivated, and uninterrupted devotional service, both are important. Unmotivated because you can get diverted pretty easily, or uninterrupted, that it must be constant, so that you don't have time to do anything else, or you don't see importance in anything else. So I've seen that in my own life also. Sometimes you have some desires, and Krishna tempts you to fulfill those desires in certain ways. So, and gives you facility sometimes to fulfill those desires. And, obviously, if you try to, he'll purify you through that way, but there's definitely so many obstacles on the path of devotional service due to our own false desires. So I never heard that before. Maybe you can send me that class.
Yeah,
that's a really good class. I really want to do.
Before I said it, I wanted to look it up. I remember hearing it.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
Yeah,
because it's true. Yeah, sometimes you pray for certain things or have certain desires in your heart that are very strong, and then Krishna will fulfill it for you, and then you'll be not happy that was fulfilled, because it puts an impediment on the path of devotional service.
And so, I wanted to ask you, you said that Prabhupada knew his disciples would fall down. I wanted to ask you about that, because I've also heard quotes by Prabhupada saying that I expect all my disciples to become pure devotees. So one end, he's like, you're saying like he expects his Western disciples to fall because they're malechas, but then he also says, what's the difficulty in being a pure devotee?
Yeah, difficulty is in that you Westerners always want to change. Mm-hmm. You always want to change. You always want to do it in something new. So that is the Maya. So it is easy process, provided you just follow. You just follow what is being given. What is it? Purvaram purvatam kritam. What is it? That they just followed whatever. Huh? Yeah, that you just follow whatever is there in the past. That's all. But the Western disease or the modern disease is to always invent something new. So not satisfied with what's being given. So because of that state of consciousness or state of being that we're in, then we tend to deviate sometimes, or often so. And also coming from such backgrounds, and it's not.
Mood and mission that he expected his Western disciples to fall down.
No, I'm just saying overall, not that I expect, but he would say things, that I'm surprised they're even chanting Hare Krishna, that that my disciples are crazy, there's so many heavy quotes about his disciples throughout the things here. But anyways, that it was, it wasn't that they were extremely cultured or anything, but he appreciated his disciples. He understood who they were, what position they were in. So, anyways, he also said that my disciples, most of them may go to the heavenly planets. So what is that? It's not what it's not pure devotional service. So all of those things are there. So it's just kind of interpolation. How do I say that? Interpolation. I don't know. And so it's expansion of just kind of the overall mood and understanding of that. So, anything else from the men? Mataji's, anything? Yes.
Could you just speak more on Lord Brahmā having a transcendental body?
It's just mentioned here like that. That I don't know what else to mention, what else to really speak about, and that he's a personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives him that position because he is the most perfect personality, and that his body is particular, that he is the source of the personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound. It can also be understood as just like we don't take Srila Prabhupada's body to be material. We don't take the spiritual master's body to be material. It is transcendental body. So others may see it like that. And that, it is composed of the same things, skin. There's, there's so many looks the same. But it is a direct vehicle of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is transcendental. So similarly, you can understand like that also, that Lord Brahma's body, because it is, the only purpose of his existence is for the service of the Lord. That's all, nothing more. And that is transcendental. Actually, as Srila Prabhupada says, everything is spiritual. Actually, even that rose is not material, it is you materialize it by the desire to try to enjoy that separately from the Lord. But it is actually Daivi Esha Guna Mahin, that it is actually Daivi, that it belongs to the Lord. It is spiritual by nature, but we materialize it. So Lord Brahma's body is composed of intelligence, we say, but we can understand that it's not just like the spiritual master's body. We don't consider it to be material. It's spiritual. Lord Brahma's body is also not material. How can we say that? Because, well, he's the Acharya of the Sampradaya. He's the Adi Guru. And so how can he be material? So, yeah. Anything else? Okay. Yes.
So, on the point that everything is spiritual, it's just that we materialize it. I was speaking to somebody about that at one point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
And they were asking me about drugs,
Yeah, everything is spiritual. That has its qualification, of course. Not that drugs is spiritual, so now I can take it. We understand that it comes for the Lord, and it's for the Lord, but there's limitations. There's a qualification to that. Not that everything comes from the Lord, but doesn't mean that it's conducive for devotional service. Yes, that even the drugs, yes, all the herbs, all of it, they're ultimately coming from the Lord. But some are meant to bewilder, some are meant to. So devotee will see that it is Daivi, it is transcendent, it is coming from that person who is transcendental, but therefore it is transcendental. But it's not that I can go and take that now. So like that, there has to be proper understanding that statement has a lot of qualification, and so therefore we don't say that to new people. Why? Because they don't understand. What do we say? Well, the Balaram truck, that is spiritual. Why? How is that so? Because it's only used in the service of Krishna. We don't see it as a vehicle of our own enjoyment. It's actually originally built for Krishna's service, but the materialists are using it, with their perverted intelligence to engage it in so many other nonsense. So it's the same. So there's all of these things that are there, what are drugs and this and that. So they have perverted intelligence to try to enjoy and exploit it. Therefore, first qualification to understand all of those things is that one has the eyes to see, that one's eyes are anointed with the love of Godhead. Then one can see things as spiritual, as being fully spiritual, being fully that which is coming from the Lord, and only meant for the Lord. So it has its qualification. It's not that not everything is, that statement has a qualification to it. So you can't, we don't preach that to new people that come, yes, everything's, no. Everything connected to Krishna, everything that we're able to see through the eyes of Shastra, eyes of Krishna consciousness, eyes of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they become transcendental. Or they are transcendent, they're coming from Krishna. So, yeah.
Does the pastime of Lord Brahma thinking about his daughter, does this happen to every Lord Brahma?
I don't think so. I think this, because it's mentioned just before in a few verses ago that no millennium before did this happen, and so that's mentioned by Marichi, that this never happened before. So how do we understand it, O Lord Brahma? What is it that what is this activity that you're performing? How are we meant to understand this? Because generally, if such activities were done, then the sons wouldn't have asked the question. Because first thing is to understand even the Guru and his actions through Shastra. Not that the Guru can do whatever. That's one thing you see. It's a very important point. If something's happening, immediately reference to Shastra. So where is this being done before? Aitiha, tradition. There's no tradition has this done before. How do we understand this? So it's very cultured in the way that his sons act. Okay. Okay, I got 10 more minutes if there's any more questions or anything like that. No? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anchakalpadurvesha kripasindhubhyo vijapattam. Vishnubhyo namo namaha.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm talking about the schedule tomorrow. Yeah, the garlands. We need at least. We don't necessarily need to make a sacred garland. Well, you use fresh marigold, so maybe that might not hold up so well. But not even just that, it's Janmashtami, so we should also, we're not going to the Indian store, so we'll have to make garlands for Panchatakya, really primitive. It would also be nice to do something that would come out about paraḥ, but that could just be one long line. We don't have time to go there.